What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Career Mode. This is episode number 20. We're starting today's episode off, officially ending Season 3 with Como after a third place finish in the Serie A and a semi-final place in the Coppa Italia as well. Oh, what could have been though? Yeah, I lost 2 of the final 3 games and really should have won the title. In the end, Milano were champions, Cagliari in second, but the third place finish does put us in the Champions League, and because of that, another 90 million gained in prize money for our finish in the Serie A, so that takes it to over 160 million pounds altogether, along with other prize money too. Now we're in Europe, I thought, okay, we need a stadium upgrade, no doubt about that. I teased it, and yeah, I thought now is the perfect time, right? We're in Europe this season, we're in the Champions League, we've got to upgrade our stadium. So on the left here, you'll see the current Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia, and it's a bit of a, well, it's an iconic ground anyway because of the scenery, but it's a bit of a weird ground in the sense that, like, one of the stands at the end is kind of split into 2. It's very strange. But then they've got the main stand, that's the only stand that's got a roof over it, and then another stand that kind of backs on to the lake itself. And then there's that kind of oval stand as well, which is behind the goals. Now you see this in Europe. A lot of stadiums have what we call like oval stadiums, mainly because a lot of stadiums in Europe also have a running track as well. So I was trying to look for a stadium that it kind of looked as though it's an upgrade of our current stadium. So looking at the dimensions of the stadium, I had 2 that I was heavily considering. Now, it was this one here, which I believe is a new generic stadium for FIFA 23, which I believe is a stadium which you're supposed to imagine is based in the Middle East. The scenic environment seemed quite similar with the hills and the mountains in the background, but I was most keen on this one here. If you can imagine, the main stand with the roof now gets a second tier added to it. We filled in the corners that are now also seatable as well, and I suppose bridged the gap in that weird stand behind the goal there in the distance. Then it kind of looks as though it's basically our current stadium just upgraded. We filled in the corners, we've added a second tier to the main stand. It remains the only one with the roof, and I thought this stadium was probably the closest we could get to it as well. So I thought, you know, if we're a club like Como, we're, you know, increasing our marketability, our financial situation. We're now playing in Europe, 2 great years in the Serie A. It only makes sense that we'd look for stadium upgrades as well. But could we build a new stadium? Do you know how much stadiums cost to build in this space of time? Probably not. Let's be realistic here. It's probably not really applicable. So I thought, okay, what I don't want to do is just build like a massive new stadium. It wouldn't be realistic. But I was looking for a realistic kind of renovation of our current stadium at the Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia. And I would say this stadium, which for those that are playing along with me, I know some of you guys like to do that, it's the Estadio El Medio, I think it's called. I'd say this is the most realistic stadium based on the current stadium Como have in real life. If we just upgraded it, gave our main stand with the roof a second tier, and filled in the corners, and again that weird gap between one of the stands behind the goal, which is again for some strange reason split into 2. So so that's the new stadium upgrade, and yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. We're taking Como to new heights, man. We got them into the Champions League, Final Four of the Cup last year. So close to that Cinderella Serie A title as well. And now in Europe's Elite 2, welcoming Europe's best to Lake Como. We got a new renovated stadium as well for them to come and play at. So, heading into the new season, you would have seen our budget. Again, it's just over £56 million. So I quite like that as well. We've just done major renovation works to our stadium. That would have cost tens of millions of pounds or euros, if you will. Some of you guys asked me, by the way, why don't I use euros when I'm managing in a foreign country? The very easy answer to give you is this. Now, for anyone that's watched me for more than 5 days, you will know that my maths is absolutely horrible. I can't do conversions. I cannot do conversions. I really can't. I have no idea. If someone said to me, oh, that player's worth 20 million euros, I don't know how much that is in pounds. I really don't. It could be 15 million pounds. It could be 30 million pounds. I don't know. I cannot do conversions. It just really confuses me. But anyway, as we head into the new season with our 4-star team, again, 56 million. I say that's fair when you consider the stadium renovation and the training facilities being upgraded and so on and so forth. But in terms of new transfers, after I gave new deals to Collar and Colombo, our youth academy right side pairing, well, I wasn't planning to do this, but after last year winning the Golden Glove, scouted by major European clubs, but also teams in the Premier League looking to give this guy a payday, Elia Caprile came in from Bari at the start of Season 2, was solid the year before last in his first year for us, and last season again, Golden Glove winner with 15 clean sheets for the season. But, as I mentioned right at the back end of the season finale, he's not growing anymore. He's 23 years old, he's just won the Golden Glove. You'd think the sky's the limit, and yet, because of EA's weird growth system, he's capped. He's capped at, well, again, he could grow maybe 1 or 2 theoretically, but he's not going to grow much more than that. And it's like, that is so frustrating, because if this was real life, he would have had a summer upgrade, you know, his potential upgraded, but instead, it's gone down. It's gone down. He's lost his potential tag, and that's why I said to Wolves, how much can you give me? And in the end, I think we agreed £15.5 million for Elia Caprile, which to me, I will take. Our number 1 goes after 2 years, but because he's done growing, well, at 23 years old, I was thinking, I don't want to just have a goalkeeper that's just sort of sat at 78 overall, because I'm going to need someone better between the 6 to compete for those major honours, both domestically and in Europe as well. And so I had my replacement lined up regardless. I put him on my scouting list as soon as I saw the 3 relegated teams, Sampdoria down to the Serie B, and I said to Emil Ordero, out of contract in 12 months, stay in the Serie A with us and replace Elia between the sticks. Yet we agreed a £15.2 million deal with Sampdoria, plus a sell-on clause as well. But I have plans to keep Elia as my number 1 for the remainder of the save, but now he's gone, I'm looking for someone else who can fill that gap, and Emil definitely can. Now, Ordero, speaking of dual nationalities, very interesting indeed. He's got a dual nationality with Indonesia. How cool is that? Indonesia. Go on, Emil. Go and represent Indonesia. I'd love to see that. But yeah, Ordero, dual nationality with Indonesia, but also Italian under-21 goalkeeper. I don't think he's been capped for the senior team, but relegated with Sampdoria last season. He's got tremendous reactions, great diving, great reflexes. You might have possibly seen him on my channel before in my club and country football manager, say, with Brescia, but 28 years old, in the prime of his career for a goalkeeper, and as you would have seen by the development plan there, unlike Elia, he's still getting better. How ridiculous is that? But that just kind of sums up the development and the growth in FIFA being broken. Elia Caprile wins the Golden Glove for our Como team last year with 15 clean sheets all season long. He's 5 years younger than Ordero, yet he's barely growing. Ordero is part of a relegated Sampdoria side and 5 years older, yet he's still growing pretty nicely. How ridiculous is that, man? Seriously. But anyway, Ordero's in and I'll take it for £15.2 million. Following that, Stephen Naismith is going to take Alberto Sherry to Tynecastle in Hearts. Totally fine with that, as he's off to Edinburgh. And also, this is another one of those players where I was like, why is he not growing anymore? Dennis Martinelli, part of our back 5 or back 3 last season. It was really crucial to us having a great season last year and finishing in the top 4. Just like Elia, you see his development here. He's barely growing. He's 19! He's 19! Imagine saying to a 19-year-old, I think that's your limit, mate. Are you serious? He's 19! How can he be done growing at 19? And again, I know he's not done growing. He could still grow a little bit, but his growth is going to be a lot slower now. How does that make sense? But anyway, Genoa, newly promoted to the Serie A, put in a big bid of 18 million as Alberto Sherry's off to Edinburgh for 1.5 mil as he goes to Tynecastle. Totally fine with that as our 4th choice striker, and I plan to get someone new in anyway. But Martinelli, Genoa, newly promoted to the Serie A, looking to bolster their backline to stay in the top tier. Martinelli, great young talent, but unfortunately the youngster isn't growing much anymore, so I'm totally fine letting him go for £18 million. Now, I did try and bring in Samuel Ricky from Torino. He's out of contract at the end of the season. I was like, right, this could be a good steal for me here. And the Torino manager said, no. I was like, okay. So, yeah, valued at £34 million, but playing hardball and saying we're not selling for anything under the market valuation. I thought, well, fine, I'll try and rob him off you for free in January then. So, fair enough, I'm not spending 34 million on a player out of contract on the end of the season. But as Martinelli goes to Genoa, this was really interesting. Well, Harry Kane has not gone to Bayern, but he's gone to AC Milano. Yes, I'm sure you've all seen the news. Harry Kane, now a Bayern Munich player. I have to say, I'm really happy for him. You know, I really am. And if you follow me on X, or formerly known as Twitter, which is at JonaDocks, of course, I talked about my feelings on Harry Kane on the Saturday morning when the deal was announced and he did his farewell video for Spurs. You know me. I'm a big believer in the psychology of team sports, and I actually mentioned in one of my tweets. There's not many clubs in world football. There's probably only a few in world football that have a winning culture that is as professional and as strong as Bayern Munich's. Harry Kane is going to learn so much there at Bayern Munich, and I'm excited for his personal growth more than anything. So yeah, really excited for Harry Kane, and I'm pleased for him to get the move. And I'm sure Spurs fans don't begrudge him for leaving after all he's done for that club as well. So as Lucas Koller gets loaned out to Cadiz, didn't plan to do that, but he's just not growing quickly enough, despite the fact for the past 2.5 years he's been a regular starter, if not sharing the game time with Colombo on that right-hand side. So going to loan him out to Cadiz for a couple of years, and hopefully he'll grow whilst he's out on loan there in Spain. And with £66 million in the budget now on the back of the sales of Martinelli, Sherry and Caprile as well, I decided to go after a new club record transfer. And with Martinelli going to Genoa, I needed a proper class centre-half in our back three. And so for a club record signing of £37.5 million, welcome back to the Serie A after leaving to Leeds United at Ellen Road. Nicolo Casale, absolutely buzzing with that one here. Big Sam at Leeds as their head of transfer negotiations now, deciding that Leeds had to part ways with Nicolo here. Again, 27 years old, 84 overall, in the prime of his career right now. He wanted a wage cut, but like I said before, for certain players, I guess I could possibly consider it, but for Casale's sake, nah, I don't know. Leaving the Premier League and the wages that they can offer, coming here to Como, I think for certain players I could see a wage cut possibly being realistic if they wanted to move here for, I don't know, to stay within a location, like staying within the north of Italy, for example. We saw, with Bernd Leno, for example, I think he took a wage cut, didn't need to go to Fulham in order to stay in London. That was one thing that always confused me. I saw so many people talking about Bernd Leno and saying, oh, why didn't, X club, why didn't Southampton, for example, just spend a, small amount of fee on Bernd Leno? It's like, well, it doesn't really work that way. Leno wanted to stay in London. He took a wage cut to stay in London. That's the point, But anyway, for Casale's sake, coming back to Leeds, 37.5 mil, 84 rate. I don't know how much better he can get, but I'm very happy to have him in. And on 55 grand a week, he signs a club record transfer for Como, and he's really going to bolster our backline again. 6'3", so strong. So strong and really physical. For me, what I'm going to try to do with Bamba is improve his weak foot because he's so young and developing so well still. I'm going to try and get his weak foot up from 3-star to 4-star, and that'll be enough. When you've got a back three, you always want to make sure you've got at least one player that's left-footed if you're over to a right or on the other side of the court. If you've got two left-footers and you want someone that's got a right foot. Right now, all of our back three are right-footers, Casale, Akoli, and also Bamba as well. But the benefit of Ibrahima is that he's so young, we can keep on developing him with those development plans, put him on the ball play and defend the development plan, and that'll, of course, see his weak foot go up from what it is currently now, which is 3-star, which is acceptable. 3-star is acceptable, but 4-star will be just as good. So when passing out from the back as an LCB, even being right-footed, if he shifts the ball onto his left foot, it'll be okay. 4-star weak foot, not a problem. So, yeah. Following that, Gabriel Graf got a pro deal. Very excited about him, mate. He's the one I've been most excited about for the past couple of years. So, yeah, really excited about him. He looks really talented. 65 overall centre-half, 17 years old, but does have the exciting prospect tag. So, very happy about him. And as Romeo finally changed his position from CDM to CM, took a full year, but finally now a natural centre midfielder. Wisdom Amy is going to go back on loan. Last year, of course, spent a year at, was it Bologna? I think he was at. But now he's going to go to Istanbul and join Fenerbahce in Turkey, as we turned down a bid there for Koleosho from Spain. So yeah, Wisdom Amy is going to go back out on loan. So he needs the game time, man. 19 years old, 68 rated. He needs to play. So he'll go and play for Jorge. He has Hiza, in Fenerbahce. And also Vitali as well. This is a young centre-half. It's incredibly lowly rated, just 59 overall. He definitely needs the game time to get anywhere close to our first team. So he's going to go out to FC Voluntari. That's a Romanian side. So in terms of new signings, we had our new shot stopper. We had our new centre-half. And now it's someone on that right-hand side. We just loaned out Lucas Koller to Cadiz. So Colombo is currently our starter. But He's okay at 74 rated, but I want someone with a bit more quality, and crucially as well, someone with some European experience. Now, that's something we don't really have here at Como. We're a young team. We're a very young team. There is some experience. Alexandro, of course, being one of those players. We want someone that's got good European experience and a lot of games under his belt, both at European level and domestically in this area as well. Welcome to Como, and I really like this signing. Hans Hatterbury, yes, the Dutch right-sided player, can play all across the flank on that right-hand side there. We're talking right back, right wing back, or right mid as well. And Hans, really, really, really experienced player, 31 years old. He spent a lot of time playing in Europe with Atalanta and, of course, in the Serie A as well. And, of course, with Atalanta in Bergamo being in North Italy, I like that as well. You know, released by Atalanta in North Italy, not wanting to uproot his family in the final years of his career and move about here, there and everywhere. How can he do that? Well, stay in North of Italy, just take a small train journey over to Como and you can play your final year as well. So Hans is in, delighted with that, 79 overall, 31 years old. Probably not going to get any better, but that's okay. He's good enough to be a first team quality starter in this team and develop some good experience, leaders experience onto the youngsters in this team, including what will now be his understudy, the guy shadowing him. That is, of course, Sergio Colombo. So as Vitali gets loaned out to Voluntari in Romania, we had £26 million in our budget. You would have seen all the season ticket money there, and that was quite interesting. Obviously, we've now renovated our stadium, so we've got a bigger stadium now, but the season ticket money, we only still sold like 4,000 season tickets. I believe that you don't get what you'd consider like the new stadium season tickets until the following year. So I think the following year is when we'll get more season tickets sold. So we don't cash in on those renovations just yet, unfortunately, but that's fair enough. But anyway, 26 million in the budget. I did decide to bring in a third choice goalkeeper. Daniele Padelli was a released player from last season, so I wanted another one of those Como Youth Academy graduates. There's only like 2 in the save, so it was slim pickings, but as Padelli retired, we've brought back Eugenio Lamana. Yep, Como born, Como Academy graduate. And you know me, I like those homegrown players. Unfortunately, with Como, I'm basically doing an impossible challenge. He now is the only one remaining in the save now that Padelli's retired. So he's the only Como Academy graduate in the save right now, apart from the players that we've brought for ourselves. So yeah, Lamana is in, and he's the only player that is homegrown out of the Como Academy in the world right now in this current save. That is crazy, right? But anyway, yeah, so Lamana is back. You know I like those three first team goalkeepers. We've got Emil Odera, our new shot stopper, Galini, who of course is still here, and now Lamana is back for a one and done year that will take him into retirement, I'd say, just like with Daniele Padelli, who hung up the gloves at the end of last season. So as we head into the new season and the first game of the campaign away against Frosinone, you would have seen my last bit of business before the opening night was going to be to try and bring in Embolo. Yes, Cameroonian born, but Swiss international. He's bounced around a little bit, but he stays in Torino right now. Torino last season, mid-table in the Serie A. I want to take him back into the Champions League. He showed so much promise in his early years. I still think he's got it. I want to take him here to Lake Como. 24 mils the fee I arranged with Torino. Sadly, it was negotiated and in the end stalled upon. So we'll take a look and see if that goes through or not. But for our first game of the season, Frosinone away, wanted to get off to a winning start. Job done. Wasn't the best of games, but we will take it. Colombo with our opening goal of the season, drilling in from close range in the first half right before the break, and that was really the only thing that happened. I tried to lob the goalkeeper from halfway line, but I don't know. I'm gonna keep trying. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna keep trying. Because I know if it ever happens, we're going to go ballistic. Do you know, if it ever happens, we're all going to go ballistic. Can you imagine if it happens on stream one day? I'm going to start streaming very soon. Can you imagine if it happened on stream? We'd all go ballistic. But close, but no cigar, sadly. But anyway, after the game and after the win, we did find out that Embolo, the transfer offer, was once again deemed unacceptable. Torino were just not budging on 24.4 mil. And then I just started getting funny with it. I was like, right, what about 50 grand off? Well, 50 grand off. Is that enough? Nope, 24.4 mil. When you talk about sticking to your morals, Torino definitely did there. They weren't going to let me go, let me get Ricky on the cheap. They won't let me get Embolo on the cheap either. So 24.4 mil was the fee we agreed. But unfortunately, what I didn't take into consideration was that we didn't really have enough money for the contract. So there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of back and forth and a lot of back and forth. And basically, I sped this up because this just went on for ages and ages and ages. And I was saying to Briel, look, I haven't got the money. I haven't got the money. Please accept this contract because I can't give you, literally, I can't give you anything more than this. I'm giving you every single penny in Como's bank balance right now. You know, I've got 20p in my pocket. If you want to take that as well, you're more than welcome. But this is literally all we can offer. I can give you this mug with my coffee in it. That's all I can give you. We haven't got the money. So in the end, the agent stalls the contract offer, which I've rarely seen before. The agent stalled in the contract offer and deciding to walk away. In the end, as you will see, they'll come back to us, but I'll mention this in a moment. But following that, draw for the Champions League group stage, where Como have got in their first year in the big time. Oh, what a group. What a group. Chelsea, Glasgow Rangers and Bayer Leverkusen. What a group in Group C there. And I have to say, I don't know if we're going to get through that, man. We're a 4-star team, on the cusp of being a 4.5-star team, but I don't know if we can get through that. Bayer Leverkusen, who put a bid in there for our young Swiss centre-half Graf. Of course, we turned it down. But Chelsea will definitely be favourites to top that group, no doubt about it. Bayer Leverkusen, I'd say, probably looking at it and saying, yeah, we should be going through as runners-up. And then there's us and the Rangers, who I'd say, we're probably looking at each other and saying, okay, you know, obviously we've developed really well in this save. We can probably just about sneak into second, but I think third is our realistic finish in this group this season in our first year in the Champions League. Fingers crossed we can pull off a mad one and make it through, but I won't be too disappointed if we drop to third place and end up going into the Europa League. Still, following the group draw, as you'll see, Briel and his agent come back, and I'm saying, guys, I'm sorry, but I still haven't got any money for you. The bank's not going to give me a loan. We spent it all on the stadium renovations. I mean, the stadium behind the goal is class now, mate. There's no split, but I can't give you any more money. In the end, fortunately, after so much back and forth, we agreed a 36.5 grand a week deal with a smaller sign-on bonus than he was hoping for. But the most crucial thing is that Briel signed the contract. So welcome to Como for £24.4 million. Briel Donald Embolo. Yep, Cameroonian born, but Swiss international. And delighted to have him here at Lake Como. So yeah, buzzing with this as he arrives at the Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia. And to me, he's just a class player for this team. Because unlike the previous seasons where we'll be looking at younger talents like your Profundis and your Volpatos and so on, this year we're in the Champions League. We want to compete for that Serie A title again. I want players in their prime. Got them all. Casali, Ordero and Embolo as well. 82 overall. Still growing. Still getting better. I'd say he can probably grow at least one, maybe two more ratings between now and the end of his career. But good enough to battle with Pat and Colombo for a starting role in this team. And that's exactly what I needed. Last year, Cutrone and Colombo, they were a great duo, but no one else scored the goals. Now we've got a third choice striker that can come in off the bench with the great physicality he's got, being 6'2" as well, and compete for starting places in this Como team. So for our first game at the newly renovated Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia, I've got to say I feel like I've made the right choice with the stadium. It does look quite similar to the stadium we play at, just with what you consider to be realistic renovations, if you will. And for the first game, welcoming Lazio, last year's Coppa Italia winners, who dumped us out in the semi-finals, aiming for revenge here at the Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia, the new look, the newly renovated stadium. Oh, it looks really nice. That's the main stand there with the second tier now added to it, and the roof as well. Again, the oval stand behind the goal with the corners filled in, but also the split being bridged, if you will, the gap being closed. It looks really good. I've got to say, I'm very happy with the stadium here. So, yeah, heading into the game, we were leading by a goal. It was Profundi getting our first goal at the new look renovated stadium. And then 18 minutes in, we were double our lead. And Embolo so close to a debut goal, but Colombo gets his second in two. And with Cutrone for this game taking a breather, well, this guy, I think, has definitely overtaken Pat as my main man up top. Yet Colombo with 2 goals in 2 and the perfect start to the season here, winning on the opening night against Frosinone, and I'm surely going to pick up the 3 points here against last year's cup winners Lazio. 10 minutes to go before the break, leading by 2, aiming for a third. It was a chance for a debut goal for Briel. And he would get it in fashion as well. Yet Lorenzo rolls him through to get an assist along with the second goal as well. And then the finish by Donald Embolo. That is what we've paid for there. Glorious chip into the back of the net past Chevalier. It's 3-0 Como. And then 10 minutes after the restart, looking for a fourth goal. Profundi, who scored our opener, goes on the run, finds Lorenzo, holds it up really well. And there's Embolo to bang it in for his second and a dream debut for our number 36. Yep, the Swiss international marks his debut for Como by bagging a brace. Final score against last year's Cup winners, Como 4, Lazio 0. The new look Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia looking really nice indeed with those renovations. Well worth the money that the chairman kept in his pockets. He kept it back to renovate those stands. I'm glad he did. It looks absolutely fabulous. And big 4-0 win there against Lazio in a perfect way to start the season off. Yes, we now have £0 and 0 pence. Or €0 and 0 cents, if you will, but that's okay because we've got our team, we've got the squad we wanted now. We've kept most of our stars here, and heading into deadline day with no money at all, we did no business whatsoever. You see Mazraoui go from Bayern to Real, Tierney from West Ham to Manchester United. What a weird start for him in the save, and Ugarte from Lazio to Valencia here. Deadline day comes to an end, but I'm very happy with the business we did in this summer transfer window. 5 new signings for the boys, but really happy with them all. Briel coming in as our new striker to battle with Cutrone for a starting role alongside Lorenzo. Hattabur as our new starting right-sided midfielder. Then you've got Casale bolstering our backline. Ordero guarding the goal behind him. And I gotta say, with Lamana, that's just for feel. That's just for sentimental reasons, because I wanted another Como native in this team as well. But guys, that'll do it for today's episode of the Summer Career, guys. Big favour if you enjoyed it. If you have, then please do drop a like. I'm sure you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode with Como going into Europe's big time, the Champions League for the first time in club history. Cannot wait for it. Very soon.